Good evening and thank you for joining us. The Prime Minister rolled out the welcome mat today. He was on hand for the arrival of two long-awaited visitors from China. A pair of giant pandas arrived on a special flight to Toronto. They'll spend the next decade here, a gift from China that we will explore in depth in a moment. But we begin tonight with a shocking story. It's about the men and women who police some of Canada's most remote communities. In many cases, the officers live in squalid homes. They're isolated from their families, and their mental health is suffering. Some have turned to suicide. And as our senior investigative correspondent Jennifer Tryon discovered, others may take the same drastic step if something isn't done soon.
Arresting someone twice her size, drunk, unpredictable, and often violent. Statistically, this is a twice daily occurrence.
Get some sleep, all right?
It's rare that she even has backup. There's not even a two-way radio to headquarters in Thunder Bay if she needed help. That's just the job.
Good night.
Lots of times you'd be here doing that by yourself?
Yes, I do that by myself.
Her childhood dream of policing her own community has long been overshadowed by the damage the job is doing to her state of mind.
I use substance, like alcohol. That's just to numb the feeling. I don't want to feel it.
She's one of 150 Anishinaabe police officers, NAPS for short, in charge of a territory the size of France, 34 remote communities, accessible mostly by plane, and they're in real trouble. Understaffed, underfunded, and overworked.
I think the longest shift I've worked is I've done 36 hours where you go night into day into night.
Round-the-clock shifts, they say, are common. Weeks go by without a real day off. That's routine. Here, the cop is the counselor, the nurse, fire paramedic, coroner, and undertaker, all rolled into one. Policing the North ranks as some of the most extreme law enforcement in Canada.
Please.
Crime severity in these communities is 5 times higher than anywhere else in Ontario.
He just pounded her.
Is that your house?
Here, a woman has been beaten by her partner.
Tell him the truth, Amy.
Actually, I got him right here.
The officers find the guy,
You got anything on him?
put him in jail. Seems routine, but it's not.
He's my cousin, so that's the thing about being here is...
That's your cousin?
Yeah.
Yet another stress.
We didn't pick on you, Darren. We got a call. We're doing our job.
Now imagine that call was for his relative's overdose, murder, or suicide. It often is.
Right now, we have almost 20 of our officers that are off on some sort of sick leave or workman's compensation or that sort of thing. About a third of those officers are actually off because of stress-related issues.
Because when the shift is finally over, for many officers, going home is making things worse. This is where you live?
This is where we live.
Officers not from reserve communities fly in for shift rotations. The band is required to house them.
We're usually given a house that no one else lives in.
Constable Joelle Haru lived in a house on a reserve for a year and a half that eventually got condemned.
As soon as I walked in the house, there was a smell that I'll never get over. It was thick, thick, thick mold. You could see it through the walls. You could see it on the windows. There was just such a strong smell, and I instantly got a headache and I instantly felt ill. After so long of living in there, I actually started to vomit blood. And they took me out for a little bit, and then they put me back in because there wasn't anywhere else to stay.
A leak in the heating system in his residence gave him carbon monoxide poisoning. One night that heating system failed, he nearly froze to death.
I think about that every day. I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this. I love the career, but I don't know how much longer I can stay up north.
All of these stressors, the workload, the housing, the isolation, are piling up, and there's a breaking point. Sergeant Brian Wesley has post-traumatic stress disorder and depression, all job-related. Did you ever try to take your own life?
In Moose Factory, I thought about it.
He's not the only one. In the last 3 years, 4 NAPS officers have tried to kill themselves. 2 have committed suicide. Constable Paulina Nguyen and Constable Richard Wesley, Brian's good friend. Their deaths, another trauma the tight-knit force is trying to cope with.
We as a police service, we have to accept the responsibility what happened to him, because we shouldn't have made him work that long, that hard.
Jennifer Tryon joins us now. Jen, some very powerful stories from some of the officers you spoke to. Is anyone addressing their concerns?
Well, it's all coming to a head right now. There are some big decisions that need to be made. The funding agreement that NAPS has with the government is set to expire at the end of the week. And unless they get more money, they'll risk having to lay off 11 officers. And we've already seen how they're struggling. That could be disastrous. So the force is pleading with Ottawa and the province of Ontario to help them meet the standards that other police forces in this country already have. Robin.
All right, thanks for that report, Jen.